All right, let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
All right. Welcome to the Revolutions of Returns podcast hosted by the Alternative Investing Club. My name is Daniel Holmlund, and today we have with us Al. Start that again. My YouTube started playing on my side. All right, one more time. Welcome to the Revolutions of Returns podcast hosted by the Alternative Investing Club. Today we've got a great interview with Allan Draper, who is a serial entrepreneur, and he's going to talk to our group that usually invests mainly in real estate about what it takes to start and run your own business. I know that we have quite a few people in our group that are interested in that. They're transitioning from being a real estate investor and a full-time employee to owning their own businesses. So there's a fair amount of interest in our group for that. So Allan, welcome to the show. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself and we'll kick off the conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Daniel. Looking forward to it. The interesting thing is that my first business was in real estate investing. So I did that before I started a more traditional labor intense business. But um, yeah, I tell people I'm a serial entrepreneur. I know that term is kind of cliche, gets thrown around a lot, but for me, it's not what I do, it's who I am. It's more, it describes my personality more than anything. I just have a passion for business, especially in the startup phase. And I've started a bunch of them. I think I own like 28 businesses or something right now,
Wow.
with different roles. Some of them I started, some of them I'm an angel investor, some of them I'm just a passive investor, on the board, whatever.
So
Um,
I gotta ask, when you're at a family get together or a party or something and somebody asks you, what do you do? How do you answer that question?
um, Sometimes I am and
Tricky.
ha. It depends on who's asking me.
Hmm.
So last night there was a business owner that asked me that, and I get asked a lot, like, "What do you do?" And last night I just said, "Yeah, I own some businesses." So, but a lot of times I just say I'm a serial entrepreneur. The next kind of 5, 10 years of my life, I'm going to be helping other people start businesses. I just wrote a book and it's about sacrifice. And so my top level goal is to help others make short term sacrifices to build businesses and wealth. So a lot of times that's what I say I do. But yeah, it's a
Okay.
mix of things.
Tell me, when did you start founding these businesses, and I guess percentage wise, how many are founded versus something that you invested in or bought in and then grew?
So I bought my first property in 2007, so terrible time, and then I bought another one in 2008. I still own both of those today. Um, and the crash happened. I ended up going to law school. I practiced law for a few years, and then I realized I needed to go build something. So I was practicing law in Phoenix. I moved from Phoenix to Detroit, and I started a bug company. That was in 2015. So it's been over the last decade or so. Um, and uh, I've built probably 85% of the companies that I own, something like that, 80.
Okay.
So
Okay.
20 something of them, probably.
All right. So you started with a bug company then. And when you say bug,
Mhm.
I'm assuming you don't mean Volkswagens, right? You're talking pest extermination?
Yeah, pest control. Yep. Still
Okay.
own them all today.
Why'd you start that business? What made you go for that versus something else?
Um, my brother was in door to door sales. They do that a lot in pest control, where in summers when you're going to college, um, you can, go make 20, 30, 40, 100 grand over a summer. And so he was doing that, was really good at it. This is 2007. Um, and he's like, "Hey, I'm good at this. Let's start a business." I go out and I work on the operation side, the exterminating side, another operation side of for this company. And this is in Columbus, Ohio, with the idea that he and I are going to partner up and start a business. Well, we were undercapitalized. We couldn't get along. We were too immature. And so my first failure happened before I even got it off the ground. That was 2007. And so that's when I decided to go to law school. But That was kind of our introduction to pest control. And let me tell you something about pest control. It's very sneaky, right? Like, and what I mean by that is I always look at businesses on this like sexy scale, like, um, like software companies and tech and AI and, those are like really high on the sexy scale. And down at the bottom are like, janitorial services. And just above that a bit is pest control. Let me tell you what an exit for a pest control company is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have a buddy that is going through a process and he's getting 18 to 22 times EBITDA. Let me tell you about
Wow.
a software company that I own. SaaS built, looking like an 8 to 10 EBITDA. So, I
It,
don't that sexy scale doesn't always tell you everything you need to know.
I think there's a lot of truth in the fact that businesses that are everyday jobs, bread and butter jobs, are in need nowadays. And I can understand. I think it's actually kind of I wouldn't call it a fad, but maybe there's an awakening to the idea currently that car washes, HVAC companies, companies that employ people that are local, that are in communities and take sweat in order to build are becoming more and more highly valued, or at least I've heard a lot of talk about that. Do you have any sense why does the bed bug company, in maybe in this particular case, warrant a better EBITDA? And for those of you who might be new to the term EBITDA, could you explain that really quickly and what that means?
So just to simplify it, it's like what's the net profit, right? So when I say
Yeah.
like 18 to 22 EBITDA, what I mean is what is the multiple on your net profit in layman's terms that you're going to get if somebody wants to acquire your company? So if you're making $1 million a year, your company's going to bring 18 to 22 million, depending on some other factors. There's some lower and higher valuations there, but that's kind of a decent range right now of what pest control companies are bringing. And to answer your other question, is recurring revenue and stability, right? Like they're hard to build. These types of companies are hard to build. They're labor intense, like you mentioned. Um, but because of that, they're really hard to disrupt.
Hmm.
Like I don't know how Amazon comes in and like uses robots to do pest control. I'm sure that's somewhere in our future, right? And I'm sure like, where bugs
With
become
little tiny
extinct or
bug-sized robots
yeah, exactly.
go around exterminating bugs.
But they're just really stable. COVID, a lot of businesses struggled. Pest control had kind of the Home Depot effect. People were at home more, out in their gardens and yards more. And so the pest control industry benefited from that. So
Gotcha.
it's just recurring revenue. Like if I keep a customer for 18 months, I'm going to keep them unless they die, move, or lose a job. And
Well,
so, and we have monthly subscription billing. So they pay us every month, just like they pay their Netflix bill.
now it's not uncommon for people that are founding businesses to, have the business fail. Obviously, the
Yeah.
stats are what 7 in 10 startup companies fail, something like that.
Yeah.
What and this company, this pest control company you mentioned, also failed initially. What were some of your major
Yeah.
takeaways from that? And then how did you pick up and do your second business after that?
It's funny that you said it like that. Like this company failed initially because I never really think of it like that. I think of that as
Okay.
being a separate uh company there because there was a gap of 7 years.
Or are you
Um,
still running and operating it?
what now? My pest control company?
Yeah.
No, I have C-level officers that run it. I get involved when we're looking into new markets. I get involved if we're acquiring another company. We have 10 branches and we're located across the United States from Long Island to Reno, Nevada. And so if there's a acquisition, I'll get involved. But no, I'm not involved in the day to day stuff of it.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha. What was your second business that you started in, and what brought you to start it? or
So,
maybe not necessarily the second, but just the next interesting one that you want to talk about.
I mean, I have some really cool
Yeah,
businesses.
let's do it. What else do you own?
I own a product company that pitched to Shark Tank. We got a deal from Lori, um, and that was like 2 years ago, and we still haven't accepted it or come to terms. A lot of people think that, everybody hugs and shakes hands on Shark Tank. That's when you start talking. That's when it's like, and I'm trying to convince my partners to do the deal, and they're a little hesitant, but that's a product that you paint around the stem wall of the house. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. We have bark scorpions. Bark scorpions nest in the ground. That product that we have 3 patents and we're getting international patents for, the scorpions, because they can't fly, the only way they can get into your house is by scaling through the stem wall, and they can't climb on. It's like a glass like uh, texture, and it's too slick for them to crawl on. That's a really cool business that we're still trying to figure out distribution and manufacturing of. But my partners are doing a great job with that. I own a law firm. I'm a named partner in a law firm. I own a software company that's it's CRM SaaS.
Hmm.
I'm involved in a bunch of different real estate holding companies.
Okay.
I own an online training course. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
a few different
There's
things.
there's a lot there. I gotta ask, how'd you get involved in a law company? And I'm guessing you started doing business and realized that lawyers are a big part of this. But
Yeah, so
what's the story there?
I went to law school and I
Yeah.
practiced law. So, and then I practiced for a few years, got into the bug business, and but stayed in touch with a lot of my law school friends. They're some of my best friends. Um, law school and studying for the bar it can be a terrible experience. It's kind of like, your foxhole buddies a little bit. Um, and a couple of my friends, they were wanting to break off from their jobs and start a firm, and they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, we need some capital, and we need maybe somebody that can help us get this off the ground with organizing the business and kind of helping with some of those decisions." And so I said, "Sure, happy to do it, but I want equity."
Mhm.
And so they tossed me some equity, and we've been up and rolling for several years now, and they do a terrific job. And I don't practice law. The other day, somebody asked me, they wanted to go meet my partners, and they asked me where my office was, and I had to Google it because I've only been there once or twice. So,
Right, right. And I'm also curious about the software companies, as I think a lot of people in our audience that originally came from Intel probably are
mhm.
as well.
So I'm an angel in a couple that have failed, that gone belly up, but
Hmm.
I'm developing a CRM type for service companies, like a pest control company, to help them run the routes, to bill their customers, communicate with their customers, do reporting and things like that.
Okay, okay. And so I guess let's start going into some of the nuts and bolts of these businesses. But
Hmm.
I'll start off with this. If you were starting, and you might be starting a company right now, what sectors do you think are the best to go into? And this is for the person in the audience out there who maybe just got laid off their job. There's quite a few tech layoffs going on right now. People are
Mm.
considering starting their own businesses. People, are maybe they've invested in real estate and want to do something more active that potentially they could spin off and sell. What sort of businesses would you recommend people get into here in 2024?
So I don't have like blanket recommendations. I think it's unique for individuals and individual passions.
Mm.
Although for me, I don't have passions in industries. I have passions just with business. Like I just love I freaking love pest control. And there's not a
Mhm.
lot of people that would say that, but it's from the business perspective. But if there's somebody that they want to kind of stick with real estate, there's so much that they could do. There's, property management, especially, man, I still own 14 properties. I'm trying to get rid of some of them. And I have a mix. I have single family residential. I have a couple of small multifamily. I have some commercial. I have some just raw land. And, uh, I don't know who said that pest control was passive, but whoever said that is absolutely wrong. And the further that you go, like the shorter term rental,
Mm.
the more active it is. But there's a lot there. that somebody could do. But for me, it's like I always go back to, well, what is a business? And a business it's a problem solver that exchanges solving that problem for money. So I was talking to a young man just yesterday, and he was talking about different ideas. I'm like, start with the problem. What's a problem that affects you? My partners that started the product company that pitched to Shark Tank, they had children that were stung by scorpions. And so it's like they wanted something better. They wanted something to protect their family. And so they came from that. But in terms of blanket like recommendations, like I teach my two boys everywhere we go. I'm like, you see that light pole, you see that lamp, you see that playground, you see that lawn. Everywhere
Mm-hmm.
you look, people are building multi-million-dollar companies doing something and everything. So it's like the ideas are worthless, man. Really. Like you can get some really cool tech, but it takes years for those things to evolve. But when someone comes to me and they're like, "Hey, Allan, I have an NDA for you to sign. I have a cool business idea." Business idea is not worth crap. It's your execution.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I don't believe in that. Like I've built a pest control company with pretty much zero novelty in technology into $100 million company. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that are like, "Oh my goodness, your business idea is fantastic." And another thing about that is it's going to evolve. You're going to get into it. You think you know what your business is going to be, and then you're going to get into it and realize it is something completely different. You have to pivot. You have to adjust
Mm-hmm.
to market conditions, to consumer needs, to all these different things, to competitors. So, find something out there that you want to add to. What is there? What industry is there that you want to kind of give something or help build? And I would start there.
So it's really about finding a passion, something you enjoy doing, and finding a problem that you can solve and trade for money. Is there? I mean, it sounds to me like elbow grease is your key ingredient. Is there more to it than that? Is there what
Luck.
strategy do you have to think of, or how can you get into and decide, you know, I like this business here, but maybe this isn't the time for it. Is how do you make decisions like, oh, this is interesting, but you know, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. What other than what's your thought process in eliminating things you could do?
I mean, the this I had a young man come and sit down in my office, and I mentor young entrepreneurs. And he
Mm,
had this huge green binder. And in the binder, he had like hundreds of business ideas. I'm not kidding you. And he's like, "Hey, Allan, I want to sit down with you and we're going to go through these ideas and you're going to help me pick the best one." And so I said, "Okay, Trevor, come on over. Let's chat about it." He sits down in front of me, slams that notebook on my desk, and we go through two or three. And I was like, dude, those are good ideas. And I kind of like pointed him in a certain direction. Like, I think this one might be cool if you do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to like. And I said, it doesn't matter which one of these you pick. It really doesn't matter that much. What matters is that you pick one of them and then you take that green notebook and you don't burn it. I thought, I know you think I'm going to tell you to burn it. You don't burn it. You put it on a really high shelf. And when you have another business idea, grab your ladder, get it out, climb up there, grab the notebook, write the business idea down, and then you put it back up there. And you spend 3 to 5 years, everything that you've got on one business idea until you have nothing left. If you do that, you can find success, and it's going to be completely different from the path that you thought you were going to take. The problem is entrepreneurs are like, well, I kind of want to spend some time doing this, and I don't really like doing that anymore. It's just like a marriage. It's really, really cool in the beginning, and it's just honeymoon and rainbows and sunshine. And then it's like, man, I got to work on
it's
this.
work.
So, I don't like hacks, and I don't like the easy path because it doesn't work. I've tried. Now you
Okay.
can get a mentor and you can learn from others for sure and avoid some pitfalls and have them help you see around corners and stuff. But it's like, I get the question a lot, like, hey, what are the cool industries? What are the, what should I do? It's like, dude, how could I tell you what you should do? Now I can work through some things, but it's more about execution. And it's not even that. It's a lot of it's luck. A lot of it is the older I get and the longer I'm in this, and I try to see like, okay, this worked. Why did this work? Sometimes it's just good fortune. I just met the right person at the right time, or COVID happened. That's a crazy thing to say, right? And I try not to say it very much, but that was in some ways, it was very, very unfortunate. But you just kind of go with flow. Now, here's the key. You just got to stay in the game long enough so that fortune finds you. That's the key. And that's why I say like grit, determination, and that's all cliche, but that's why it matters, is because though, you said 7 out of 10 startups fell. Well, yeah, those fell in the first year. But what about year 5? Now that goes down. And then after 10,
Yeah.
it goes down further and further and further.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that? It's because they've stayed in the game long enough to just figure a few things out and find fortune here and there.
Do you tend to yourself, do you tend to start a business as a solopreneur by yourself, or do you always involve partners when you're starting a business?
Mostly partners. I have
Okay.
24 business partners. And so I have a capital investing company that I own that is just me and my wife. I own a couple of real estate companies with just me and my wife, but most of them are with partners. And my strategy is a little different. It's very difficult, but I go out and I recruit operational partners. So I'll find somebody, I'll contribute the capital and kind of what we need, and they'll be salaried employees for the company, and they'll get equity for doing it.
Okay. Okay.
I own a
Any
digital
advice?
marketing agency, for example. So I own a digital marketing agency. We build websites. We do Google AdWords, SEO, social media marketing, all these things. Design. Some of the best designers I've ever seen work for my company, Lizard SEM. That is not my thing. I'm a lawyer, right, by trade. I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a designer. And so
Right.
I went out, recruited a designer and digital marketer, and we've built an incredible company.
All right, let me ask you a little bit about that. How did you find those designers? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there right now that, don't know where to look for a partner or don't know how to identify somebody who's good at their craft and come to them with a proposal. How did you find those people, and what was that like?
I just found them through my network. It's
Mm,
either people I knew or people that I knew that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody. So
right.
with my partners, that's how I usually track them down. It's just people that I want to work with. And for me, the determination is not what's their skill set. That matters, but that's probably, number 2 or 3 on the list. For a business partner, I'm looking for somebody that has proven to me that after a really, really hard day when they just want to quit and it feels like nothing's going to work, that they won't, that they'll wake up
Yeah.
the next day and they'll just kind of keep at it. And I have some failed businesses. I have 8 or 9 failed businesses where I've lost lots of money. And it's usually because of I had operational partners that couldn't hack it. It's not for
Mm,
everybody.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. What advice would you give to people that are looking to start their own business? I'll just keep it an open-ended question.
I think they need to figure out why.
Hmm.
Why do you want to start a business? Is it to make a lot of money and to have all the free time in the world? Because I remember when I was quitting my legal job, one day I came in, I was really frustrated with a decision a judge made. I was a litigator, came into my office, kind of slammed the door, sat down at my desk. And this was 2 months before I started my bug company. So it was already on my mind. And I thought, oh, I can't wait till I open the doors of my new company because I'm going to have more money and I'm going to have more time. And as soon as I opened the doors of my new company, I had less money and I had less time. So now that was a decade ago. And now I in a little better position. But don't start it if you think you're going to make more money because you're immediately going to make less. Now,
Yeah.
the ceiling is really high, right? But it's not immediate. And in my book, where I talk about the sacrifices that people have to make to build their businesses, that's one of them. You have to sacrifice security for freedom. So you don't have that immediate security. So find out why you want to start a business. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to make some money and provide a good life for my family. Absolutely. Just know that that's not going to happen in the short term. In order to scale a company, every dime that you make has to be invested back into it. I have a contact marketing company that failed. And one of the problems was the owners were taking too much money out of the company, salaries of 150, 200 grand just to live. So you can't take that lifeblood from the company. So somebody that's starting, ask yourself why, get really clear on that. Starting a business is super cool. Like, so I motivate people to start businesses because I think you learn so much about yourself, even though there's a likelihood of failure and it causes a lot of headache. I have to file 2 lawsuits today because of something that happened. Somebody did something in my company that I found out this morning. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to, to get in the trenches because of what it offers. So find out why, find something that it seems cool to you and that you'll enjoy doing, and then go for it, and know that it's going to be difficult. It's going to be one of the best things of your life. Best professional move I ever made was quitting my legal job and becoming a bug guy. And I tell people that when you start a business, first step is you do what you have to do. Second step is you do what you're good at. And then third step is you do what you want to do. And if you follow that path, you'll be successful.
Gotcha. Do you mentioned you have a coaching service and you have a book. I want to give you an opportunity to mention any services that you offer or any books or any companies that you own that you want to mention by name. Go ahead and let us know how people can contact and interact with you.
Yeah, so I have a website, allandraper.com. You can book I have 2 15-minute slots available per week where people can tell me about their business, their headaches, their ideas, whatever. It's free. I'm not looking for anything. That's kind of my way of giving back. I'm very active on social media. My book is in the editing phase, and it talks about the 13 sacrifices that are required to build a business without sacrificing what matters most to you. And that will be released probably toward the end of Q1 of 2025.
Okay. Does it have a title yet, or should we just look for your name?
No title.
No title yet.
Editor just sent me an email this morning asking about that, and I'm just not there. I want it to be catchy. And the funny thing is the book talks about these sacrifices, but it's motivational. It's like, yes, you're going to have to sacrifice your security, but do it anyway. Yes, your relationships are going to change, but do it anyway. Here are the benefits. And I coach, but very limited basis. I have no openings for probably the next 5 years.
Okay. Allan, thank you for being here on the at the Alternative Investing Club and on the Revolutions of Returns podcast. We hope that you continue to have success.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.